The final road trip of the year begins tonight at American Airlines Center, and it's another homecoming for former star Steve Ott. Dallas and Jamie Benn are desperate for points. They're 6 back with 5 to play. After a big win last night against Calgary, it's back on the road for the final road trip of the regular season tonight. The Blues at American Airlines Center against the Dallas Stars. The Blues with a win last night, climbed within 2 of Nashville with a game in hand. The Dallas Stars, they are desperate. Right now, they are 6 back with only 5 games to play. And we say hello from the broadcast booth. I'm John Kelly. Of course, the Blues clinched the playoff spot last night for the 39th time in their history. And Darren Pang, who's down between the benches, that's a bit of a relief because in this Western Conference, it's not easy to get in the playoffs.
No, it is not easy. And you look at this coaching staff as well. 3 times under Ken Hitchcock, over 100 points in the season. That's a lot of great hockey. This is a tough league. There's a great deal of parity. These players should be really proud of that. But I like the fact that they've come off 2 games at home that they weren't happy about, but they bounced back with a real solid performance last night against Calgary, and that should bode well with 5 games remaining and some important points in 2 games, of course, against the Blackhawks.
And Darren, with 9 games left in the regular season, I think the race for the Central is wide open right now.
Well, no, there's no question about that. The Central Division, one of the toughest divisions in the National Hockey League, and you see the Nashville Predators, they thought they were off and running there while the Blues were stalled for 2 games. Now here are the Blues, they've got the carrot dangling in front of them, 101 points. The ROW, obviously the Nashville Predators, they have the lead right there, while the Blues are tied with the Blackhawks, both with 38. But it's that 2-game matchup between the Blues and the Chicago Blackhawks, so significant. But you get there first by taking care of the Dallas Stars here tonight.
Well, the Blues were led last night in their 4-1 victory by the Paul Stastny line. They collaborated for 5 points. They were great.
A lot of chemistry last night with this line. They took care of their own zone first, that's always very important, and that's why they are BJC Healthcare difference makers. You take care of your own zone, you get on the defensive side of the puck, you win as many faceoffs as Paul Stastny won in last night's game, then you've got puck possession. But I thought for Jaden Schwartz, right off the hop, he scored the first goal of the game in the first period, and that breaks quite a shutout streak of over 10 games. But he played a good north-south game. He stopped on a dime, he made good plays, real smart and decisive with the puck. They will certainly have to continue that tonight. I thought TJ Oshie made some real smart plays as well. But it's all about puck possession time and being strong on the puck in the corners, not giving it up, maintaining that kind of momentum that can wear down the opposition. There is no question that these 3 players have a great deal of skill level, but you also have to be strong on the puck as well and make sure you don't lose those one-on-one battles. This goal here was as pretty as it gets. Stick on the ice, a great pass from David Backes, and that was a pretty good one. Here as the boys behind me get ready to head onto the ice.
Well, the Blues making 1 change on the back end. Bear Jackman is out. Carl Gunnarsson is in for him, and Gunnarsson will play with Robert Bortuzzo.
Well, Robert Bortuzzo endearing himself to his teammates once again. He has played rock solid since being acquired at the deadline. He comes to the defense of a guy in Barrett Jackman that's not playing tonight, that's come to the defense of so many of his teammates over the years. So defensively, Bortuzzo doing his job, and physically, and then the play of Alex Pietrangelo. He's back paired again with Jay Bouwmeester, but on the defensive side of the puck and the offensive side of the puck, he has been tremendous.
The Blues making their way onto the ice here at American Airlines Center. It is the 5th and final regular season meeting this year. It's been a road series so far. The road team has won every game. The Blues have won in this building 4-3 back in October, and they won 3-0 a few weeks ago. It's round 3 in Big D. Our game is next from Dallas. And we're back in Dallas, Texas, the home of the Stars. Time to check tonight's Dobbs starting goaltenders. Brian Elliott back in goal for the Blues. He is winless in his last 4. He'll be opposed by the Finn Kari Lehtonen, who was pulled at his last start. Blues hockey is sponsored by Bud Light, who reminds fans to stay in the game and drink responsibly. As the Stars get to center ice, Jason Spezza drop pass, but it goes right to Dmitry Yashkin. Now on to center ice to Berglund. And that play goes offside. Berglund, Yashkin, and Backes against Patrick Eaves, Spezza, and Alex Hemsky.
Well, Patrick Berglund coming off a terrific last couple of games. 4 points in his last 3 with 2 goals and 2 helpers. The key for Patrick Berglund or any one of the big players in this league at this time of the year is taking that puck and driving hard to the net, dipping his shoulder, protecting it, and going hard, forcing the other team to defend.
And now the Stars come in. Here's number 91, Tyler Seguin. He bounces it back to the goal, grabbed by Pietrangelo. Now on for Oshie, who plays it to Bouwmeester. And now ahead for Schwartz, who got the first goal last night. The Blues' first period goal in over 200 minutes. And this rolls down, no icing. And Elliott sets it up for Bouwmeester. And his pass tipped along by Ott. Stars have not quite since Monday, a 5-3 loss here at home to Calgary. And a penalty called here, a hooking minor by either Brad Watson or Gord Dwyer with the call.
Jori Lehtera right by the penalty box. He's going to get the call as Lehtera steps right in. The puck was right there, and Lehtera was just trying to eliminate the man, taking away a little time and space. He double clutched when going to the penalty box there, not thinking that that was a call against him.
Well, he goes off for 2 minutes. And the Stars on the power play, they're hot of late, 5 for their last 21. And Jamie Benn gets set to take the draw. Backus wins it, cleared by Pietrangelo. Tyler Seguin leads the Stars with 12 power play goals. That's 6th best in the NHL. Now it's Benn at his own line. The Blues have been great on the kill. They have killed 31 of 34. As the Stars now to center ice, the rookie John Klingberg drops it off. Walked along by Spezza. In for Benn. Poke check there by Bouwmeester, but kept alive by Klingberg. And now the former Senator, Spezza. Here's Benn. To the left point to Seguin. Winds up, and Elliott got over and made that save. And now Pietrangelo in a battle down low. Puck steered back of the goal by Eves. And now on for Spezza, and again to the captain, Benn. With a minute to go in the power play. Now Benn flips it back. Klingberg fakes it. Now on to Seguin. Too tough an angle there. And Seguin again. Plays it out high to Klingberg. Nice move around Oshie. And a shot blocked by Stastny. And now recovered by Benn. And again it goes back to the top. Moved around to Seguin. And he drifts to the corner. Hands it back to Klingberg. And he walks the line. Now a shot. And a save by Elliott. It's between his legs. And they jam away. But he has it in that blue paint.
Well, that's amazing. Amazing that Brian Elliott kept that puck out. One of the more difficult plays for a goaltender to stop. The first shot by Klingberg is in the air. Klingberg's looking to go back towards his left, but finally he sees an opening and fires it. Redirected in front by Jamie Benn. Keep your eye on the captain and the great hand-eye coordination right there. He gets it on the back side of his blade. So Elliott's leaning one way, it goes between his legs, but he manages to keep it out.
Well, the Stars off the face-off. First, Benn had a hat trick against the Blues in St. Louis this year. Now Trevor Daley. Daley to Hemsky. That shot hit a body in front. And now back of the goal, recovered by the Stars. Colton Sevier for Goligoski. And then Daley, Howitzeri hit the glass, and it's off the glass back to center ice and down the ice.
You don't often see Alex Hemsky fire the puck like that. He's a nifty stick handler in tight, one of the shorter hockey sticks that any player in the NHL would have. So he's not a one-time kind of guy, but he let that one rip, and it was labeled.
Blues are back at full strength. Dallas, 2 shots. On the power play, there's a low drive. On goal from Fiddler, and that's handled by Elliott.
Robert Bortuzzo had big Travis Moen, the veteran, have won Stanley Cup in 2007 with Anaheim, driving hard to the net. And you got to make sure you box that out right there as the goaltender handles it on the stick blade. You can see Fiddler crosses the zone and pulls up with a shot that goes off the blade of Elliott, but he does a good job of smothering the rebound. You can see no green sweaters are on the inside. The Blues do a good job of boxing them out.
Shattenkirk managed the left point position very well last night in his first game on the left side. Here's a rebound attempt, and a backhander goes wide by Travis Moen. He was wide open.
Elliott sharp right off the hop in this game. The Blues have needed it.
And now Gunnarsson, he puts it high off the glass and out. And the young Finn, Jyrki Paka. Then ahead to Jason Demers, and then flown in by Travis Moen. And Gunnarsson gets by the loose stick, but now he lost it. Here's Eakin in front. That pass to the corner intended for Sagan. And the Blues break it up, and they get to center ice now with Berglund. He comes in, and a quick shot up high, and that smacks off the glass. And then Yashkin goes shoulder to shoulder against Benn. At the line, good read there by Pietrangelo. And now Jyrki Paka there. And that's tipped down the ice by number 20, Cody Eakin, and that's an icing call against Dallas.
Well, with the solid goaltending right off the hop, it's not one of my Toyota keys to the game, but it should have been. But an energetic, intelligent start here to this hockey game. Tough going back-to-back on the road, but keep that momentum up. And obviously, time and space away from Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin is dynamic a duo, as you'll find in the NHL. In fact, amongst tandems, they've got the second most points.
Now it's Ty Ratty off the face-off to Bouwmeester. There's that bank play behind the Dallas goal. And now it's Steve Utt, the longtime star, for Laterra, who's wrapped up by Eakin. Again, no Steen and Tarasenko tonight for the Blues. The healthy scratches Jackman, Jokinen, and Butler. And now Ratty jams it back to the corner. And then a hit there on Eakin.
Laterra just got dumped there by Jyrki Paka, no call.
And Ratty's shot was blocked. Now the Blues on the forecheck. Jyrki Paka worked over by Pietrangelo and then picked up by the young Swede, Patrick Nemeth. And he crosses center ice. He wires it in. Now it's Bouwmeester. And then Pietrangelo. Near the line, Roussel there to hold it in for Dallas. And then Bouwmeester tries the left wing. Nice pass off the boards. And it bounces to center ice. And Chris Porter trying to get there. The Stars with it. Goligoski on for Fiddler. And he tips it deep. No icing here. And McCulloch now defending against Roussel.
Oh, nice reverse there by McCulloch to get out of trouble.
And flipped to center ice. Reeves can't get there in time. Now walked along by McCulloch. He'll funnel one to the corner. Porter goes after it on the hunt. And a hit on Goligoski by Porter. Puck comes around. Shattenkirk. They get on the left point. Now a drive. And that was blocked off a leg in front. And now Oshie kept it alive. Here's Stastny. Oshie in on goal. A shot. And that's tipped and it goes high into the netting.
What a shift that is. And it all starts with a great play by Kevin Shattenkirk, who's just getting used to playing left D as a right-hand shot. And he has done a marvelous job of adjusting, not only getting back into the lineup after that abdominal surgery, but he took that off the boards, had a clean look at it in the middle of the ice. It was a great right pad save by Lettinen, and then the play continues. A nifty little drop pass there by Stastny. You've got to always be aware. Stastny's going to give you the puck. You just got to get to open spaces, and that just barely got blocked off the Oshie shot.
So now Stastny wins the faceoff. At the line, Bertuzzo. That's blocked by Eaves. Up in the air it goes. And now Oshie after it again. Kicks it back of the goal. And then it's taken by Trevor Daley, who is back after missing 11 games. Now Gunnarsson plays it back of the goal. The Stars on it there. Fed to the line to Daley. Backdoor. They score. Eaves, no goal. I think they're going to rule that Elliott was interfered with. He was down and no goal.
Well, the Dallas Stars, as you would imagine, arguing this call, but the referee adamant about the call, immediately waving this off as goaltender interference. Officials Gord Dwyer and Brad Watson in this game. Hemsky from behind the net. You can see Spezza with his right skate clips the back of the heel of Brian Elliott, enough to knock him down. Brian Elliott right away with his arms to his side. But the key is Jason Spezza's right skate had just dragged through the crease and just enough to clip the right leg, the right ankle, the back of it, of the goaltender to knock him off balance.
Just and they say no goal.
No goal, no penalty. Which I don't mind that call out, but keep your eye on that right skate there. And the goaltender's balance, obviously it knocks him off. He's not able to get in a position to make a save. And
that's the right call. As they clip skates, Elliott goes down, no goal, no penalty.
I'll tell you what, it was a heck of a pass, though, by the defenseman Trevor Daley. He had his head up all the way, looked like he was going to shoot, and he played it off to the side. Terrific play.
So we remain scoreless. And now Daley again, deep in his own zone. He is watched by Backus. It is Backus, Berglund, and Yashkin for the Blues. Nemeth to center ice.
That's a lot of space in the neutral zone there.
And a shot by Spezza, taken care of there by Brian Elliott. Well, the fans don't like it, but that was the right call. No score.
Great start here for Brian Elliott, and as always here when I'm positioned between the benches, Kari Lehtinen came over here and said, well, what do you think of that call? Well, one thing you can't dispute is the saves that Brian Elliott has made early on in this hockey game. Obviously, Jake Allen playing extremely well. Played well last night. There's the non-goal, and it's enough to push that skate forward. And when you push the skate forward, even so subtly, you're not expecting it as a goaltender. He was already in his stance, in good position, on his toes, and there's no way to come back and react to that pass over to his right when you get bumped like that, even if it's just subtly. Dallas Stars and Lindy Ruff, John, during that timeout, still had a conversation with the referee, but I mean, I don't know what you could argue with it.
I think it was pretty clear. Alatera in the corner for Ratty, a shot, and that's off a body and out of play.
Ty Ratty getting in back-to-back nights here and playing alongside Laterra, and tonight Porter. Last night Olli Jokinen, who had a real strong game, and you can see here in this game that already Porter is moved down to the fourth line as Steve Ott moved up to that line with Laterra and Ratty. Ty Ratty has a great deal of hockey sense. Not going to overwhelm you with his speed or explosiveness, but he's very calm with the puck. And early on in your NHL career, he's a scorer in the American Hockey League, he's a scorer in junior hockey, but it takes some time to get on those lines and those situations in the National Hockey League. So I think he's doing a real good job, smart job.
He made his NHL debut in this building last April.
Good change on the fly there by Brad Shaw, who runs the D for the Blues. JK getting Bouwmeester and Pietrangelo on the ice. Going up against Ben and Seguin as expected.
And here comes Seguin, the late man Goligoski, and Elliott to save it. Another penalty called. And it's against the Blues, I would assume.
TJ Oshie's going to go off for the slash. Jamie Benn going hard to the left side of the net on Brian Elliott.
St. Louis 74 slash.
Not much argument there from TJ Oshie, and yeah, he just gets a pretty good piece of the leather glove there on that slash coming across his body.
So the Blues short for the second time. Dallas 3 for 19 in 5 games against the Blues. And they win the faceoff. Seguin now played on to Spezza. And that pass for Eves tipped away. And it goes high into the netting off a Blues stick. BMO Harris Bank wants you to show your sign in support of the Blues. Tweet a picture of you and your sign to hashtag BMO Blues Sign Contest for a chance to win Blues prizes and have it shown in an upcoming broadcast. Visit BMOHarris.com/Blues Sign Contest or visit a local branch near you. As Backus wins the face-off, the Blues ice it.
Domination in the defensive zone in last night's game against the Calgary Flames, and in fact all season long the defensive zone faceoffs have been phenomenal. 55.9% on the season.
As the Blues, as you said, are the best face-off team in the NHL. The Blues clear it down the ice.
And last night they were 65% overall against Calgary on home ice, but 82.5% in the defensive zone.
Now the Stars, a long stretch pass, walked along by Seguin, who leads the club with 35 goals, 7th best. Now the puck play to Seguin, off his stick, and now Schwartz hops on it. Oh, he had Stastny up the middle, but that was blocked at the last minute by Jamie Benn.
Jamie Benn's got some sick hands.
And now Klingberg on this Dallas power play. Into Spezza, and around the half pipe it goes. Seguin in front, and Sevier a shot, and that goes high over a sliding Gunnarsson. And now Klingberg chipped it to himself.
What a play.
And now across. One-timer by Sagan off the goalpost. And the Blues clear the rebound down the ice.
Referee was in a good position there, but as we know, when the play stops, Toronto will look at that play. But what an unbelievable display of patience by Klingberg at the point.
And now Hemsky darts in. And a great poke check there by Brian Elliott, who's been under siege here in the first 9 minutes of the game. The Stars 7 shots, and that's not counting a goalpost. And now Goligoski with 10 to go in the power play. Broken up, and Backes will shovel it the other way.
Really good read from the bench. Marcel Gottsch was about to hop on. David Backes looked like he was coming for a change. And then because there was so much pressure, he swooped back into the middle of the ice.
And a drive by Daly, well wide. Oshie is back. So the Blues have killed it off. One shot against on that second power play.
Yeah, and one off the bar.
And now the Blues put Tuzo on to Gottsch. Then play to Shattenkirk. And a nice little feathery pass to Ott. He's in the clear. Ott right on and goal. And a save, and Reeves after the rebound. And a save by Lettinen as well. And that's the Blues' best chance. Steve Ott, who spent 9 years here in Dallas, was in the clear. And Shattenkirk, what a pass by Shattenkirk in his own zone.
Just a little hoister. Quarterback to the wide receiver, let him skate into it.
A little feathery, buttery pass right on the tape.
Yes, it was.
Then Stastny turns and fires it back in. Oshie trying to steal it from Daly. And now Schwartz comes along near the line, and that's picked up by the second-year player, Valeri Nichushkin, who's missed most of this year after hip surgery. And now McCulloch for Oshie. And with some time, he lobs it on to Gunnarsson. And from the red line, he pumps it in behind the Dallas goal, and the Blues make a wholesale change.
Gunnarsson certainly wants to make an impression here, and he was frustrated after that pass was right on the tape. He fumbled it a little bit. Otherwise, he's got good speed through the neutral zone.
Now the Stars off the board, picked off. Here's Pietrangelo. Yashkin to Berglund. In on goal, a shot, and a save by Lettinen as Berglund had a great look after a Dallas turnover. It remains scoreless.
Well, Brian Elliott certainly ready and prepared, professional as always, getting ready for this game. And that was the play by Klingberg. Just an unbelievable play of calmness, rolls it over the stick, and then makes it in front to set up this one-timer off the crossbar and out. There's the hoister over here to Shattenkirk. Backhand, forehand, trying to jam it between the legs of Kari Lettinen, and then a drop pass by Yashkin to Patrick Berglund, trying to go between the legs of goaltender Kari Lettinen, who just shuts that one down. Lettinen has also made some good saves.
And again, he was pulled at his last start Monday. He gave up 4 goals on 19 shots.
He's won 34. The Stars 37 wins. All they needed is a 500 backup goaltender, and they'd be in the playoff hunt here.
Yeah, their backups have won 3 games. 3 games all year.
And 3 and 13 losses. Not good enough.
Now Daly has it for the Stars to Nemeth. And he lobs one in. Elliott gloves it down and plays it for Laterra. And now Shattenkirk to McCulloch. And again, Shattenkirk. In his 4th game back after his abdominal surgery. And the puck rolls to center ice. Here's Eaves. Spezza tips it to Hemsky. A drive, and that goes wide on the short side and out of play. Individual playoff tickets go on sale on April 9th, but you can guarantee you'll have a seat before the rush. Simply put a 10% deposit down on a 2015-16 season ticket package, and you get to purchase playoff tickets before they go on sale to the general public. Time is running out. Buy your tickets at stlouisblues.com or call 314-622-BLUE.
Well, on the rush, the Dallas Stars have done a good job here against the St. Louis Blues. In transition, with speed, I think the Blues have got to do a much better job of getting that third forward back high and clogging up that neutral zone just a little bit more. Hemsky just missed there on the glove.
And now Hemsky off the face-off. He lost it. Yoki pocket down low. And now Hemsky again, the longtime Oiler. For Spezza, the shot hit his own man in the shin pad. And now the Blues get it back. And Jori Laterra. Nowhere to go with it. As Hemsky Bottles things up in the corner. Now Gunnarsson for Bertuzzo. And then back for Gunnarsson.
Well, they haven't played together either. Bertuzzo has played primarily with veteran Barrett Jackman. Of course, Jackman took that cut about 6 to 8 stitches over the brow last night with that hit from Brandon Bollig. So he gets some rest in tonight's game.
And now the Blues at their own line. Oshie was checked. And a penalty call on Dallas.
That's going to be a tripping call.
And the Blues into the zone. Stastny. And we get the whistle.
Tripping call 200 feet from Lindy Ruff's goaltender.
Dallas penalty 21, 2 minutes tripping.
Antoine Roussel will get the call there. Gets a stick in the skate blades of Alex Pietrangelo, who's off to another good start in this hockey game. We talked about Pietrangelo's play in the open. His play defensively, his play offensively. He's been excellent, but the thing to keep in mind on this power play here is big number 42, David Backes, as they fix the ice there in the high slot area of the Blues zone. But for David Backes, getting in front of the net, lodging himself there, he has been so effective with the man advantage. And the Blues power play, John Kelly, getting back on track again. Power play 3 for 3 against Calgary. And in the last 6, 5 for 19, now cooking at almost 27% in the last 6.
As they fix a hole in the ice back in the Blues zone. By the way, happy birthday to Lily Jankowski, who's 6 years old today. Lily, of course, is the daughter of Rich Jankowski, who does a great job handling Blues team services. So happy birthday, Lily.
Happy birthday, Lily.
Blues power play. Number 1 on the road at 25.9%. They win the faceoff. Shattenkirk and a wrist shot. And a save by Lehtinen. And another stoppage.
Well, Shattenkirk was waiting for David Backes to slide in there in front of the big Finnish goaltender. And he wanted to release it, wanted to get it towards the net. Makes for an easy save, but if Backes could get there, it's a typical play.
And now the face-off controlled by the Blues. Stastny to Shattenkirk. And then Schwartz. Trying to go down to the corner. Blocked by Goligoski. And now fired out by Jamie Benn. Blues are 4 for 14 in 4 games against Dallas. As Oshie gets to center ice. Picks an opening. Plays it back of the goal. Lehtinen puts it high on the glass. And now off the glass into the netting.
Yeah, it looked like Oshie wanted to gain the zone with possession, and now he's frustrated. He's looking over towards the bench, and they're going to make a quick change here on this power play.
As Oshie and company get a rest, now the Blues send out Laterra, Berglund, and Ratty up front. And Fiddler wins the faceoff, and it's ripped down the ice by Yoki Paka. And Jay Bouwmeester, the first man back for the Blues. Paired on defense with Pietrangelo. And hammered around the glass. Berglund in the area. Off his skates, now back of the goal. Laterra, a good hit, but it comes free, and Fiddler, he gets it off Pietrangelo back to center ice. And a minute gone in the Blues power play. Now Pietrangelo again. Gets a bit of a pick there from Laterra. Into Ratty, drops it off. Berglund, and then Bouwmeester, a shot, and that goes wide. And then Travis Moen over there for the Stars.
Good keep in there by Berglund.
And Berglund, with 3 players around him, kicks it back to line. Bouwmeester. And on a second chance, Bouwmeester cannot hold it in. And both teams make changes here. 25 to go. In the minor, to Roussel.
And it's good to see Vladdy Tarasenko and Alexander Steen on the trip. Steen actually went on the ice for a short spin here today. Very, very, very optional skate this morning here in Dallas.
Yeah, about 5 players were out on the ice.
Well, it's good that he got in there, and good to see Tarasenko as well, who had a hat trick here earlier in the year.
And a game winner the last time the Blues were here in a 3-0 win. Now Schwartz again. Penalty is over. And a shot by Schwartz blocked. And a diving play by Schwartz trying to hold it in. Blues had one shot on that power play. And we remain scoreless as now the Blues ice it.
A little discombobulated here to begin this power play segment.
Every weeknight, don't miss MLB Whip Around on Fox Sports 1 with highlights, instant analysis, and live look-ins from around the league. MLB Whip Around is weeknights at 6 on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. And the face-off won by Backes. Now on the wall, Spezza. And his shot off a stick to the corner. Grabbed by Bertuzzo. Now for Schwartz to Backes. Into the zone. Stastny to Backes. And then the late man is Schwartz. And that pass too hot to handle. And the Stars come back. Spezza to the middle. Ran into his own man, Eaves, and Spezza goes down. That was a violent collision. And now Spezza steals it. And then a shot and a save by Elliott against his former teammate in Ottawa. That was a rather odd sequence. And the Stars up the middle, picked off there by Oshie. I can't believe Spezza got back on his skates.
I can't believe he just jammed Porter right in the visor there with his stick as he was going off for a change.
And that's an icing call on the home team.
Well, Spezza had plenty of speed, as you mentioned. Then he was cutting across to his left right in the middle of the ice, and bang, stayed down for a second, and then the puck came right back to Spezza, so he got up and he had a shot on goal. There's the cut through here, and he and Eaves collide right there. More skate on skate. I thought maybe it was shoulder on the button of the jaw, but it was not. And that's just a pass going D to D there by Gunnarsson in a bad area of the ice, middle of the ice in your own zone. Not the right play for the D to D to be in front of your goaltender, especially a guy like Spezza, long stick, good hands, easily picked that one off.
And now the Stars control the face-off. It comes to center. Pietrangelo now for Porter. And he tips one back to the goal. Button plays it around, and now it goes back to the Blues line with 3:45 left. Great pass by Pietrangelo. He springs TJ Oshie. Now Oshie waits to the net, intended for Gotch. That was intercepted. Jamie Benn long feed. Sagan in the clear. Breakaway. And a right pad save by Brian Elliott.
Another great save.
Sagan in cold turkey. And a shot blocked by Bouwmeester. And the Blues to center ice. Here's Gotch. Hot just onto the ice. And 3 Stars around him. All he can do is play it back to the goal.
I think the theme and the message here from the coaching staff is going to quickly be get that puck towards the net.
And a hit at center ice by Reeves. And now the Blues get it back. Patera for Reeves. Runs over a Star player and flops one back to the goal. Boy, the Stars, Darren, have had a lot of long stretch passes that have resulted in odd man breaks and a breakaway here. And they are a very fast team. What a save by Brian Elliott. It remains scoreless. Chance for Sagan on a clear-cut breakaway.
Yeah, the old forehand, backhand move, and you got to give Brian Elliott a lot of credit for staying with it, being patient on the puck, not making the first move. And that's what Tyler was waiting for, is that make him bite on it. And Brian Elliott stayed with it, made a great save with his right pad.
And now McCulloch feeds it back to Shattenkirk. And now ahead for Berglund. And he flops one to the corner. Backes comes in with a hit. Gets the puck free. Shattenkirk fakes it now to McCulloch. And down the boards to Yashkin. Yashkin a shot. That was blocked by Nemeth. And it rattles around now to Shattenkirk. For Backes. Out high to Berglund. And he rags the puck to the corner. Now back in the line. McCulloch winds up. And he scores! It may have been tipped in by Berglund, and the Blues take a 1-0 lead.
Well, the first bit of sustained pressure in this game for the Blues, and they make it pay. Good shot selection there by McCulloch, a tippable play, and some sound movement in the offensive zone. Boy, Patrick Berglund, the big Swede, is rolling now, playing his best hockey of the year, feeling good about himself. And this line with David Backes on the forecheck, separating the man from the puck, began everything. There's the shot, and the redirection is high in the slot. Backes is there, but it's Patrick Berglund that cuts across Berglund going from left to right and just redirects it beautifully. Much like the tip-in last night, the Monahan tip-in against Jake Allen.
What a tip there. Berglund is 11th. Now Stastny a drive off the shoulder or stick of the goaltender Lettinen. That goal at 17:49. The Blues leading 1-0. Now Hemsky comes in for Dallas. And he fakes it now, lets it go. Hit traffic on the way through. And Paul Stastny now reverses, but it goes to Spezza. To the line to Klingberg. And his pass to Goligoski. Indirectly back of the goal. And Stastny stepped in front of Hemsky. And Jaden Schwartz hard off the boards and out.
That's good, solid defensive play there by Stastny in his own zone. I said it a number of times last night in the game against Calgary. Getting on the defensive side of the puck, being in the proper position, supporting your defenseman. And that easy allows you to get out of your zone.
75 seconds left here in the opening period. The Blues have grabbed a 1-0 lead on a goal by Berglund. And it goes back to the goal for Ott. Gets away from his check. And now it's flopped to center by Jamie Benn. Gunnarsson back there, and a good play off the boards and out. And then Ott a hit. Turnover, but Benn responsible in his own zone. Now for Yoki Paka. He comes in. Stood up by Bertuzzo and funneled around the boards by Elliott, but there's Benn with it. At the line to Seguin. Seguin a shot. That hit a late goes wide. Now another shot by Seguin. Handled easily by Elliott. And the Blues take over. 30 seconds left here. The Blues with a 1-0 lead. The goal by Berglund from McCulloch. That's 17:49.
Big hit there at the penalty box there as Ryan Reeves took out Ryan Garbutt with a big one.
And the puck to center, back in, look out. Wide open, Moen, trip. And then a save by Elliott. And McCulloch is going to get a minor, but he may have saved the goal.
And Elliott's hurt.
And they're going to call a penalty shot, are they? They point to center. Yes, they are.
This is all a result of a drop pass just inside the Blues blue line. And Chris Porter knows that. As Brian Elliott is banged up there. Ray Barilli will jump out there. Looks like in the back of his head, but the Blues have the puck right there, and there's a quick turnover, so they call it a penalty shot. He is in all alone, even though it's not a clear and decisive breakaway with full speed, but it is between the player and the goaltender before he gets tripped up.
Well, and Travis Moen will take it.
Travis Moen, the veteran that just missed 20 games, jumps right into it.
Yeah, he just came back on March 19th. Has one goal all year. And Elliott, 2 for 4 in his career, facing a penalty shot. But of course, that does not count shootout penalty shots. And Elliott trying to get his wits about him here. Not easy to get knocked down, Darren, and maybe some cobwebs, and now you got to face a penalty shot. So here we go. It's Travis Moen against Brian Elliott. He walks in and he scores.
Well, that's a savvy, calm move there by Travis Moen. The left-hand shot, he just takes it on his backhand there to the forehand and leaves him with a lot of room in the net. That's a nice move there, beating Elliott to the stick side. Elliott had gone down with the blocker a little bit lower and then pushed over there, trying to cover that space. After a brilliant first period, and Brian Elliott giving the Blues the opportunity to go ahead 1-0, frustrating that the Blues turn it over like that, and then, of course, a penalty shot as McCulloch's only trying to stop Moen from getting in there on the breakaway.
And that is the end of one. Berglund for the Blues, and exactly 2 minutes later, Moen with a penalty shot goal. And the Blues outshot 12-5 in the opening period. So plenty to talk about. A lot of good chances, plenty of good saves. We have played one here in Dallas, Texas, and the Blues and Stars are tied at 1. We are back here in Dallas, 1-1, as we get set for the second period.
Well, Brian Elliott was absolutely outstanding. And just as I was coming back on between the benches, Ken Hitchcock looked at me and said, boy, did we get some great goaltending there. Many of our fans wondered why that wasn't offside by Porter. It's because he played it back into the zone uncontested. And that's the right call by the official. It looks obviously optically like that should be an offside play, but it's the responsibility of Porter who puts it back into play.
Now a drive, they score! Shattenkirk let it go! It was tipped in front, and the Blues, 15 seconds in, take a 2-1 lead.
Is that the big Swede at it again? High slot redirection. Good shot from the point. Again, a tippable shot. And you can see the friendship and camaraderie there. Patrick Berglund and Kevin Shattenkirk teaming up. How quickly this happens here. Big Berglund's in front of the net. Keep your eye on his stick. Does he swat it down? For sure he swats it down. That's remarkable hand-eye coordination here by Berglund. And again, going in the opposite direction of the goaltender. Both redirections have been world-class. No chance whatsoever for Kari Lehtinen.
And he is on fire. Oh, is he ever? Now with 4 goals in his last 4 games.
At the right time, too. You know, during the course of the season, when there were slow developing times for Patrick Berglund, he got plenty of chances to get out there and get out of that funk. And now you're seeing the confidence that he has right now. Different role, different setup, different players.
Now a 2-on-1 into Schwartz. Rebound. He scores! Jaden Schwartz! Another quickie. And the Blues take a 3-1 lead.
For how quick the Dallas Stars struck in the opening frame with all the great scoring chances they had. This is impressive. The Blues, Schwartz, first on the redirect. Great pad save with the left pad by Lehtinen. And then the rebound by Schwartz. Poor defensive coverage there. You don't see that often because Jamie Benn is so good on both sides of it. But he allows Schwartz to get on the inside, not only for the one, but for the second one as well. And Lindy Ruff has had enough. I mean, Lindy Ruff, as he was going to the bench, he looked at me and said, we had our chances. And so there's no question that the attention to detail early in the game for the Dallas Stars was outstanding. And plenty of chances to make it a 3, a score of 2 or at least maybe even 3 in that first period, if not for Brian Elliott. They score on a penalty shot by Travis Moen. But this veteran head coach in his 17th season and an impeccable record that speaks for itself.
2 goals in 17 seconds. Berglund at 15 seconds of the period. And now Schwartz, a new career high with his 26th at the 32-second mark. And just like that, the Blues take a 3-1 lead. Off the face-off, the Stars come in. They score! Jamie Benn!
Well, Jamie Benn doesn't take care of Schwartz defensively, but boy, this guy, if the Dallas Stars were a playoff team, you could argue he's up for the MVP. And he just snaps this one past the stick side. Little gap closure, some space to snap it. Alex Pietrangelo, the defenseman, is standing up. The puck goes whizzing by his right shin pad and by the stick side. Oh, what a start to the second period.
Yeah, 3 goals in the first 38 seconds. That goal comes 6 seconds after the Schwartz goal.
Antoine Roussel is going to shove around Ryan Reeves. Interesting to see if anything develops there later. Roussel likes to get in tight. When you look at some of the tussles that he's had, he gets in tight with somebody, and then he drops the mitts and kind of goes at you aggressively. But the players now have seen him enough as the big hit along the boards starts things off right there by Robert Bortuzzo, doing a good job of taking away that blue line.
What a frantic start to this second period. Blues leading 3-2. Here they come, Gunnarsson. Rips it in from center ice. Letton guns it up the wing. Cut off by Backes. A shot, it got through, and a save by Letton. That may have been tipped by Reeves on the way through.
That was a tip in by Ryan Reeves. Ryan Reeves was guilty of turning that puck over a few too many times in that first period, but he's off to a good start here. And this redirection is an excellent example of the natural ability that Reeves does have. Got that right on the back end of the blade.
And now off to face off, the Stars controlling. Those two quick goals by the Blues. Berglund from Shattenkirk and Yashkin, and then Schwartz from Oshie and Bouwmeester. But then Jamie Benn comes right back. It's 3-2. Now the Stars come in again. And a shot by Garbutt is tipped away by Elliott, and that goes out of play. And now we get pushing to the right of the Blues goal. And now on the other side, Fiddler and Backes.
And it was Ryan Garbutt that hit the back of the head of goaltender Brian Elliott during that skirmish that resulted in the penalty shot at the end of the period. And that was the delay. It was Ryan Garbutt's heel of his stick came right across the back of the neck of Brian Elliott. Right there. I mean, Garbutt's not getting for any kind of puck. It's been covered up right there. And that's the reason why Brian Elliott was stung like that. And on that little play, he's obviously trying to score on the back end, and he flips that over wide.
And then Moen, who has scored 2 goals this year, both against the Blues, tied it. And now the Blues lead 3-2. Here's Steve Ott after a loose puck. Handled by Daly. And then Ty Ratty comes in there. And the Calgary native tries it free, but then he lost it. And the puck played along now for Nichushkin.
Oh, good stick by Steve Ott there, coming through the middle of the ice. Ott had a good first period.
And now Ott back in his own zone. Nichushkin gets it for the Stars. Again, coming off hip surgery, back in the line. Long drive by Goligoski wide. And now Shattenkirk steals it from Sevier. And they throw it high to center ice. And now John Klingberg for the Stars. And the young Swedish defenseman, a 5th-round pick in 2010. Is he a good young player? And that's off the glass. And now out of play, and they'll bring the face-off back in the blue zone.
Ty Ratty did a good job of getting in that shooting lane as that puck came to the left point, and Ratty known as an offensive-minded player, but when you have the sense to make plays offensively, you certainly can have the sense to make plays defensively as well. So he did a nice job there, and I love it. I've mentioned this before, Jay Cable being in the second period. Love listening to Alex Pietrangelo on the bench. Oh my, that just missed on the short side.
And that hit the back of the goal.
Yeah.
Now it's back on the line. Klingberg in the slot. Here's Eakin. Goligoski a shot, and that was a head-hunting drive that hit the glass, and the Blues clear to center ice. Well, whatever Lindy Ruff said to his troops after the Blues' third goal, it worked.
Yeah. That would be an impeccably timed timeout.
And now the Blues, Gunnarsson shovels it in. Here comes TJ Oshie. But Jamie Benn got back to break it up. That may have been a 2-on-1 for the Blues. Now Schwartz up the middle, moved along by Stastny. All he can do is play it back to the Dallas goal. By the way, Jonathan Toews scored a couple of late goals, and Chicago came back to beat Buffalo 4-3 the final. So the Blackhawks right this second have pulled ahead of the Blues. And a shot wide by Patrick Eaves as he came in on his off wing. And now Demers, the former Shark. Locked it in by Eaves. Played back to center by Pietrangelo. And now Demers once again for the Stars.
Ooh, dangerous little pass there through the middle of the ice.
Here come the Stars. They got away with it. Spets up the middle. And Yashkin on the back check with a good play.
Good backside pressure there. The Blues are doing a much better job here in the second period. Coming back, backtracking, reloading through the middle of the ice.
And now Backes in for Berglund, who has scored a couple tonight for the Blues. Stars to center ice. Lobbed in there by Demers. Returning McCulloch. Long stretch pass to Porter. And his dump in rolls around. Reeves on the forecheck. Now gets some help there from Porter. And it goes to Reeves down low. To the line to McCulloch. Now Shattenkirk. And all he can do is lob it back to the cage again. And Nichushkin there. And he doesn't clear it by Gosh. But now on a second chance he does. Here's Nichushkin at the line, but he can't get around McCulloch.
It's a smart play there by Zbynek McCulloch. They're taking away the line. It was a 3-on-2 rush. I think McCulloch caught him off guard, a little by surprise. Marcel Goch was in good position defensively as a third man high, but then the puck got knocked off his stick. That's what resulted in the 3-on-2 going the other way.
Shattenkirk almost scored from his own blue line. That did not miss Mike a lot. It bounced just wide of the net. And now to center ice. Roussel tips it in. A Dallas goal, Ben from Sagan at the 38-second mark.
Good D-to-D there. As Bortuzzo played that nicely up the left wing.
Now Laterra. He was hit by Roussel. Ott comes in. Blues get it back. And then Laterra was knocked down. And a hooking minor against the Stars. And then Roussel gives Ott a shot after the whistle.
Yeah. Roussel's lucky he didn't get another one there. First power play of the game for the Blues didn't go so well, but here's the call there, and Roussel was spinning around, and it looked to me like Laterra just spun out and lost a little bit of an edge going back towards his left. I didn't actually think Roussel did very much on that play.
And the Blues, their second power play tonight. 0 for 1. Here's Shattenkirk. Pass in front, tipped away, and Jamie Benn will pump it down the ice. And now Shattenkirk back to get it. And Shattenkirk's first game back, that's the game that Steen got hurt in. And of course, Shattenkirk and Steen normally man the Blues power play on the points. And the Stars again shoot it away. 30 gone to the power play. And it's TJ Oshie. Slowly to center ice. Stars crowd the line. He gets in deep, knocks Goligoski down, and they're going to call a penalty here.
Looked to me like as TJ Oshie was going in for the puck, he might have given a little shove from behind to Goligoski. I wasn't sure if it was a little push with the back of the leg as Oshie was trying to layer that puck in. And here's
St. Louis penalty.
there. It's a little shove cross-check. Just a little shove push right there.
And his second minor of the night. So we go 4-on-4.
Minute and 17 seconds. And then an abbreviated power play for Dallas. That entry into the zone for that power play unit. Not very good. Couldn't get the puck in to establish presence in the offensive zone.
The Blues on the road this year, 22-12 and 5. Dallas at home, 16-15 and 8. So only one game over 500. A big reason why they are out of the playoff picture right now. Klingberg whips it around the Blues goal. Now Yoki Paka to the net and knocked away by Elliott. And Laterra funnels it around. Hit by Pietrangelo. And now it's taken by Spezza. Into Klingberg. He comes in. And a save there by Elliott. And he has it in his glove. 13:41 to go in the second. And the Blues lead 3-2.
Well, Patrick Berglund now in double digits in goals. He's got his 11th and 12th goals of this hockey game. Started the scoring at 17:49 of the first period. And there's that perfect hand-eye coordination. He made the play off the boards originally, though. Smart play with calmness, and that led to the play back to McCulloch, and then the tip-in. Early here, 15 seconds into the second period, shot by Shattenkirk, and another redirection out of midair.
His first two-goal game of the year. Has never had a hat trick. Now Demers as we go 4-on-4. And a pass in front, picked off. And now Schwartz for the Blues to Shattenkirk. Handed on to Stastny. And he had it roll away from him. Eakin back to the goal. Look out. He just got away from Schwartz. And a 3-on-2 here. Eakin in front. And broken up by Shattenkirk. That caroms to the corner. And now the Blues take over.
Well, that's a smart play by McCulloch. When he reversed it around the boards, he had it about 3 feet up in the air.
And then Schwartz at center. He lost it into Chushkin. He comes in. Drop pass to Daly. Daly double clutches. Now again to Seguin. A shot and a save by Elliott.
What a brilliant save. A lot of movement. The Blues nearly got caught with too many men on the ice. They didn't. The play goes into the Blues zone, and Daly waits and waits and waits until he finds an open man, which is Tyler Seguin with that quick release. And Brian Elliott with some fast mitts right there. Good glove save against the right-handed sniper.
Seguin has 5 goals in his last 7.
And his 12th game since returning from injury, boy, pretty good coming off that knee injury with 11 points.
And you just wondered, Darren, where the Stars would be if they would be better at home and if they didn't suffer so many key injuries like Seguin's. Now Pietrangelo to Berglund. He's in the clear. First third. And a save by Letnin. And he holds it long enough as the big Swede almost had the hat trick.
The chances are coming. One of those nights right now where you got to keep rolling. And that's a good play there going down the left side, trying to beat him to the glove side. But Alex Pietrangelo, look at that strong play right there on Jamie Benn, gets him off the puck, and then obviously in transition, good glove save here. Kari Letnin's out on top of his crease in real good position there because he knows that there's pressure on Berglund. Berglund's not going to be able to go around him. So that's when you come out and you read the play and challenge the shooter.
The Stars on the power play, 25 to go in Oshie's minor. That is hammered down the ice by Pietrangelo. And Seguin now back for the rookie Klingberg. 7th in rookie scoring. Now to the captain Ben, into Spezza for Eves. Here's Eves, a pass to the line. Too hot to handle for Seguin. And then Klingberg again to Seguin. They set up their box formation. And a shot and a save by Elliott. It's still loose. And Oshie is back. Comes back to line, Seguin, and that's blocked by Oshie, and it goes high and out of play.
Good burst of speed there by Oshie getting back into the play. Tyler Seguin at the end of that shift just tried to rifle it, but TJ Oshie reaches out with his stick. This is the first opportunity by Tyler Seguin. Good save to the short side, the stick side, and then there's the shot that's deflected up into the stands and out of play by Oshie.
Blues have now shot in this period 5-4. 17-9 for the game. Stars off the faceoff. Nemeth drops it back for Daly. And then funneled back to the goal. Now played back to the cage again. Fiddler trying to center one. That's blocked by Bertuzzo. And now Fiddler wraparound trying to save by Elliott. And it goes back to the goal. Moen. To the top for Daly. And now Moen again. Fiddler, tough angle, a shot on goal, and a save by Elliott. Then a drop pass. Sevier gets it for Daly. And a one-timer blocked by Schwartz. And here are the Blues thinking some offense again. Schwartz cuts in the middle. A lot of room there and a shot. And Letnin goes down to make the save. And now Stastny gets it. He's got plenty of time. Now to the net. A shot. And he missed everything. And now McCulloch. Boy, the Stars gave Stastny a ton of time there. And now it's Oshie in the corner with Shattenkirk. Stastny across to McCulloch. And a wrist shot. And maybe off Yashkin, and it trickles in toward the goal.
And Nemeth did a good job of tying up Dmitry Yashkin. You mentioned Paul Stastny, and you give a player with patience like Stastny time and space, they're going to make you pay a premium. Because while everything around is fluttering, he just calms everything down, and he's got that great composure with the puck. That wasn't the play that you were talking about, the play up in the left point. I think as they entered the zone, where everybody backed off and allowed the player with the greatest playmaking skill on that line to have time and space.
Last night had his 6th game winner of the year. That ties Tarasenko for the club lead. Blues win the faceoff. Berglund to Backes. Tip to McCulloch, but he can't handle it. And a race for it. Shattenkirk gets back and clears to the boards. But it's kept in by Spezza. And now McCulloch helps out his partner Shattenkirk. On the wing for Berglund. Yashkin trying to get the puck out. And now the Blues with it. Berglund tips it back to McCulloch. Under some heat there from Spezza. And then Berglund goes back behind the goal again. Pressure by the Stars. Jamie Benn. And he was checked. It comes in front. Seguin. Wide open. And he scores. And we have a 3-3 game.
Now, David Backes was in a good position defensively that whole shift. But when he ended up getting the puck, he tries to play it out and it clanks off the stick of Jamie Benn. Benn just has that innate ability, and he's able to strip it there. Now he plays it over to Tyler Seguin, who cuts back, and a good first save, but it goes off the left shoulder of Kevin Shattenkirk and in the net. Just a real unlucky break right there as Shattenkirk, can't react right there. It's a great save by the goaltender, Brian Elliott, and Shattenkirk ends up just slapping that puck away. Nothing he can do right there.
That was the kind of goal we saw in Minnesota a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, that was crazy. 5 of them that way.
And this is covered by Letnin, so the Stars have come back. The goal by Seguin at 10:01 is 36th, and we have a 3-3 game.
So many ties to the Dallas Stars franchise that have existed in St. Louis. And we go to our dirt cheap snapshot of the game. Bob Gainey, Ken Hitchcock, Doug Armstrong, Kirk Muller, Mike Keane, Guy Carbonneau, the Golden Brett, Brendan Morrow, Jamie Langenbrunner, and Daryl Sidor. All guys that have worn the blue note and have played for the Dallas Stars. And that is our dirt cheap snapshot of the game.
Good stuff. Of course, that was a year after they won their only cup in '99.
His Army had some hair, didn't he? I said it.
You said
I'm allowed to say that.
Because you're challenged as well in that area.
They're often that Stanley Cup to one Martin Brodeur.
On an overtime winning goal in Game 6 by Arnott.
Jason Arnott.
Demers, he gets it down low. And the Stars with it. Cody Eakin checked, and now Ott rolls it on for Gunnarsson. Gunnarsson shoots it back to the goal. That may have been icing, but Letnin goes out, so no icing. And now Carbon has it again for Dallas. Chipped in deep by Roussel. And 2 Blues right around him. Seguin gets that last goal from Jamie Benn to tie it at 3. And now the Blues with it, and they shoot it off a stick to center ice. Berglund has scored twice for the Blues. Schwartz the other goal. Moen, Benn, and Seguin for the Stars. Fired in by Trevor Daley. And now Jay Bouwmeester trying to hit Ratty, and that goes by everybody and back to center ice. And Nemeth, watched by Ratty. And it goes to Nemeth again. Gotch with a great forecheck, stole it, and he centers it, but no one was there. What a forecheck there by Gotch. And it comes to center ice. Now Pietrangelo ahead for Oshie. He gets a piece of that one. Battles 2 Stars. Now Schwartz. Good pass, Shattenkirk. A shot and a save by Letnin with a big jam in front. Oshie was all over the goaltender. Now Schwartz. And Oshie down low. Stars get it back, and here comes Daley for Nichushkin. Trying to step around Shattenkirk. And then McCulloch comes over there to strip it back to the Blues. And a pass by Shattenkirk just out of the reach of Stastny. And that's an icing call against the Blues.
The Stars are ready to use the position to learn how to skate.
PJ Oshie comes in on this forecheck. Now eventually this pass is going to go back to Shattenkirk by Schwartz, and with a lot of traffic in front, obviously at the very end of it right there, Daley just gives him a little bit of a push there as Oshie's trying to get to the front of the net. He's just trying to get there before that puck gets there for a little bit of a tip in.
Stars win the face-off. Goligoski now on the boards. Oshie there along with Stastny, but they can't get it out. And McCulloch feeds it back to the goal for Shattenkirk. And off the glass and back to center ice. Penguin Alex Goligoski. Pass in on the wing now for Mullen. Will twisted back to the goal. Sevier there for the Stars. Now to Fiddler. Has some room in front. Off a skate. Now a shot. And Karam's off a skate and just wide of the far post. And now Fiddler a drive. Blocked in front. And then finally knocked away by McCulloch's stick. And then Patrick Berglund.
Went back in his own zone right there. Too much pressure to get out of the zone. Well, now he's alleviated some of that pressure of the first forechecker, Jason Spezza.
And Shattenkirk's feed. That wobbles over the stick of Yashkin. That will be an icing call. Well, time is running out to purchase your Blues Hall of Fame Plaza brick. Sales in on May 29th, so be sure to purchase your brick and cement your spot in Blues history. Packages start at $165 and include a replica brick for your home. Go to stlouisblues.com to order your brick package today. And this should be another icing call with 6:39 left.
Slows down the frantic pace of this hockey game. It's been a beauty in transition, hasn't it?
For a game that has featured only 32 shots, there have been easily 15 to 20 great scoring chances, either way.
Great 8 chances. No question that even though it's 3-3 right now, the golden start of Brian Elliott allowed the Blues to catch their breath early on in this game.
Now it is Eaves at his own line. Nice stick at center by Backes.
Good hands there.
And now tipped by Yashkin. On to Backes, and he floats one in, goes off on a line change. Now Demers for Yoki Paka. High hoister to center ice. Pushed back the other way by Carl Gunnarsson. And now it's Laterra. In against fellow Finn Yoki Paka. Reeves trying to help out. He can't get it. Spezza for Dallas.
Good hustle by Laterra coming back.
Nice move by Spezza. He comes in. Toe drag move. In front. And that's blocked by Pietrangelo. Those are the kind of skills that made Spezza the second overall pick at 01. And that pass to center. Too far for Reeves. And another icing call.
You know, Reeves' stick was lifted on that play. Should not have been icing.
Well, here is tonight's BMO Harris Bank quick pick of the game from Shannon. Well, happy birthday, Shannon.
Happy
birthday. You got to get your sign on the BMO Harris Bank contest of the night.
It's my birthday.
And now the puck near the line. And Steve Ott wins the battle. Klingberg right back in for the Stars. Nichushkin lost it. Seguin follows up. In front. And they score. J.D. Benn tips it in.
Little redirection through the legs. Drop pass. And keep your eye on Ben. Stick on the ice the whole way. And it goes off the near. Did it go off the near post?
Yes.
And then in. There. Tired shift for that line. Couple of icing calls. One of them should not have been an icing call, but that doesn't have a direct effect other than the fact that the Blues can't change, and Lindy Ruff's able to get that top line on. So
the Stars have scored 3 in a row and lead 4-3. As Ben gets his 30th, and that's an icing call against Dallas.
Ben had his, fundamentally, you look at his stick position the whole way, and he's given Tyler Seguin a target the whole way. Surprising that actually snuck through there, because Elliott was in a very good position, and for that one it goes off the post. You see Elliott's head goes to his right, and then the puck goes to his left and off the post underneath him, so underneath his stick or between his left toe and the tip of his stick, off the post and in the other side.
And with 30 goals, that is 4 shy of his career high of 34 set last year for the former Canadian Olympian. Well, what a turnaround here in the second period. Now Porter on the face-off. Face-off won by Eakin. Now Porter again, down low with Gotch. Porter trying to kick it free. He does. But now the Stars get it back.
Think that timeout's worked for Lindy Ruff?
Yeah. It has been quite the turnaround. Now in front, Roussel trying to jam it in. And he scores another goal.
Oh, Brian Elliott is irate here. Brian Elliott is just sour. I thought I heard the whistle go. Roussel on the wraparound is jamming at it. And now all four officials are going to talk this one over. Not convinced it's going to be called a goal just yet. We'll see about the position of the pad and whether or not Roussel is, as he's poking away at the loose puck, whether or not he actually pushes the left pad of Brian Elliott. He has one swat at it, two swats at it. And we'll see where the officials get at it, but on the wraparound once, twice. Well, he clearly pushes the pad back, but the puck didn't look like it was entirely covered. Hard for the official to see at that point as we listen to the call, but we're at center ice, so that's going to be a goal.
2 goals in 43 seconds.
You still have to protect the house. So he gets one swat at it and then another swat at it. At one point, he does have to be put on his rear end.
Four in a row. 2 goals in 43 seconds. And now Hitch wants a timeout.
Oh, there's been enough time here that the players have settled down. I'm actually surprised with how much time just elapsed that he does choose a timeout. Well, Brian Elliott just came over towards me, and he looked at the linesman as well in front of me, Andy McElman, saying, you can't jam. There should be no goal. You can't jam the pad, push the pad back like that. I mean, he is really, obviously, for good reason, he's very frustrated with that. Knowing that the blade of the stick of Roussel has pushed his pad back over the line.
And off the face-off, a hand pass, so the Dallas Stars with 4 in a row. The latest goals by Jamie Benn and Roussel. It's 5-3 Stars. That last goal by Roussel is 13th from Garbutt and Eakin at 15:23.
Well, the stick position of Roussel, I mean, is one that has to be really looked at because it's so lodged into that pad. It's such a fine line. You're jamming away. I didn't think the whistle went till after the puck was across the goal line. But you can't jam the pad and move the pad like that. It was a 3-1 hockey game when Schwartz scored. Lindy Ruff calls a timeout, and Jamie Benn whistles a wrister. And then a bad break that goes in off Shattenkirk, 3-3. And then Jamie Benn with a redirection in. And then this one here by Roussel gets called a goal. After all the referees and the linesmen, they huddle up. And now it's 5-3. 4 unanswered goals after that timeout. Ken Hitchcock has just burned his timeout.
And now Pietrangelo.
And Pietrangelo and Shattenkirk behind in this game, paired together.
Up front it is Laterra, Reeves, and Ott. A different looking line than we've seen in the past. That's off the end boards. And Elliott got his left leg down to make the save on Demers. And the Blues clear the puck to center ice. Quite a turnaround from last night when the Blues had 43 shots against Calgary. Held to 11 as we wind it down here in the second period.
Interestingly, the timeout being called there. Shattenkirk and Pietrangelo on the ice together, but you're right about the forward combination. It was Ott, Laterra, and Reeves.
Yep. Now the Stars get it back. Goligoski. And he fans on the shot. And McCulloch hits Schwartz on the wing. Working on Klingberg. Now to Bouwmeester, a shot. That got through. Rebound, Stastny, a drive, and a save by Lettinen.
There's lots of hockey left to be played in this one. A 3-1 lead disappears to a 5-3 deficit, but there's plenty to go. The Blues have got to keep their nose down and keep grinding away.
Oh, Oshie, a shot on Spezza, stays in. Nichushkin, a pass in front off a skate, and gathered in by McCulloch. That's kept alive by Goligoski.
That was a good keep in there by Goligoski. He really held the line nicely there. A lot of patience to do so.
And a long pass to center. Floated back the other way by Daly with 2:45 left in the second. Now Sagan trying to hit Jamie Benn, who again had a hat trick earlier this year against the Blues. Has 2 tonight. At the line, that comes to center ice.
And as expected too, Nichushkin getting a little bit of time here on that top line with Sagan and Benn. Last year he spent a large part of the season with those two dynamic players.
Yashkin at the line, he can't get in there. Garbett comes back for Dallas. Then a shot blocked by Bouwmeester and up into the netting. Well, the Blues are headed to the playoffs, and Fox Sports Midwest will have you covered. We'll have first-round games right here on Fox Sports Midwest and the Missouri Lottery Blues Live post-game show after all games. Blues coverage continues into the playoffs on Fox Sports Midwest. Now Gotch against Eakin. Eakin controls it on the wall. And now in the slot for Garbett, broken up by Bertuzzo.
That all starts with a good defensive play there by Gotch in the far corner.
Now it's Ratty with Porter and Gotch. And it goes back to the Dallas goal. Loki Paka feeds it on for Garbett. This goes deep. Gunnarsson and Roussel to the end boards. And now Eakin on it for the Stars. Trying to find some room. Good stick there by Bertuzzo. And now the Stars reloading at their own line. Long pass off the leg of Bertuzzo. And then Gunnarsson comes along. Plays to center.
Well, there's too many men on the ice for just a split second right there. I thought the Blues got away with one earlier in the period. The Stars just did there.
And then Dmitry Yashkin. Flaline gets the puck to center ice. Here's Klingberg from the red line. And a dump in goes wide. Tipped on the boards. And Yashkin off the boards and out. Now Klingberg again. Up the middle, Bertuzzo steps up and hits Vernon Fiddler.
Got him right in the midsection there.
And he goes off. Now the Blues to center ice. Yashkin trying to hit Bergen with a long pass. With a minute to go here in the second period. And Spezza. Goligoski. Here's Eaves. Delays and a shot. Didn't get through. And now Spezza has it again for Dallas. Puck kept in there. Alashemsky. And the native of the Czech Republic. Fancy move down low. And then on the boards was Czech and Schwartz. Center ice, Pietrangelo. And he gets in there. Drops it off to Schwartz. Nice move. Shoots. And he scores! Jaden Schwartz off the goalpost. And it's 5-4.
Holy jumping. He just whistled this one. Under the bar, it just dropped down like a butterfly with sore feet. What a shot that was. Entry into the zone. Mazda drive to the net. The Dallas Stars back up. A slick little move there by Schwartz. Little stutter step, buys some time, goes back to his left, and then goes against the grain over the glove. And his second goal of the game. Got to keep plugging away. Got to stay with it, especially in a funny game like this.
Yeah, this has the makings of a 7-6 game. His second tonight, 27th of the year at 1934. And it's 5-4. Blues win the faceoff. Now McCulloch. That pass blocked. Into the zone to Chushkin. And a shot blocked by Bouwmeester. And that goes high.
Well, the certainly the Dallas Stars were a little preoccupied as well in front of the net because Paul Stastny's going in there, getting around Nemeth right there, and he just gets out of the way there. Whether he upsets Kari Lehtinen or not, I'm not certain. Lehtinen looked like he did get himself back in a good position and just got beat with a really good wrist shot there by Schwartz. You see the dancing toes there of Stastny on JK. He was close to the blue paint. He's trying to slide out there to his right and make sure he doesn't have any contact with the goaltender.
Of course, Schwartz had a hat trick early this year in Arizona. And now with 2. 7 seconds left here. Backes at the line, not out. Yoki Paka rolls one in behind the goal. And now Backes and Ben having words in a bit of a slashing duel.
Yeah, not the first time between these two captains. You remember Jamie Benn fought David Backes in one of the earlier games in St. Louis. This has been a series in which the road team has won every game. Can the Blues continue that here tonight?
The Blues outshot 12-8 in the second. It outscored in the second 4-3. A wild one here in the wild, wild west of Dallas, Texas. Stars up 5-4 after 40. And we are back in Dallas, Texas at American Airlines Center. A wild one here, and Big D and the Stars enjoy a 5-4 lead as we get set for the third period. And a lot of weird goals, not only on Brian Elliott, but also some weird ones at the other end on Kari Lehtinen. And it's certainly not a night Darren Pang as a former goalie that you'd really necessarily want to be a goalie tonight.
Well, it is one of those games, but when you look at any kind of game like this, you just have to battle through it. I mean, there's just going to be some games where it's not going to be perfect. It started out so brilliantly for Brian Elliott. The second period was a goofy period, but look at this line the last couple of games. I mean, now it's back in the game. A feathery little pass there by Oshie, right on the tape to Schwartz. Schwartz gets one whack at it, then the rebound goes in against Kari Lehtinen. And this play here is a magnificent display of patience shown by Jaden Schwartz as he rifles it off the far pipe and in the net. Brian Elliott stays in. I did have a conversation with Mike Murphy of the NHL, and as expected, Ken Hitchcock just having a conversation right now with the referee. The question is, does the player Roussel, is he jamming at a loose puck, or is he jamming knowing the puck's under the pad and moving the pad of the goaltender, causing the puck to go across the goal line? Roussel and Backes having words. This has gone on. This is becoming a pretty intense rivalry between these two teams, even though they haven't faced each other in the playoffs. They don't like each other. It's just plain and simple. It's been a good battle. But anyway, Mike Murphy of the War Room in Toronto did tell me between periods, JK, that the officials congregated on the ice. They did not call to Toronto. They deemed that puck to be loose and the puck crossing the goal line before the whistle had gone.
And now Reeves comes over and
they switch
lines
sides
up next to Roussel.
Yeah, that's right. So Backes was over on that side. Switch him up. And if Roussel wants to go back and forth, then maybe he can have that same conversation with Ryan Reeves. That would be interesting.
I would be surprised if Roussel fights Reeves. Blues Hockey is sponsored by Bud Light, who reminds fans to stay in the game and drink responsibly.
I was going to say thanks, Tips. But I thought that was disrespectful. I agree with you wholeheartedly, buddy.
I was being a little sarcastic, my friend.
I knew you were.
All right, the Blues went trailing this year after 2, 6-14-2. The Stars been leading 26-3-5. In a game earlier this year in Dallas, the Stars twice had a 2-goal lead against Detroit and lost in overtime. As Nemeth gets it back of the goal. Comes in front, cleaned up by Oshie, and walked along by Backes. Now Backes at the line to Pietrangelo, and he was just offside.
And so with the Seguin line back on the ice, we'll see if in this position, leading by 1 for the Dallas Stars, what kind of combinations that Lindy Ruff puts on the ice. Is it defend mode or keep going at this game? Nichushkin does stay on that right side with Ben and with Tyler Seguin.
Against the Blues top line of Stastny, Oshie, and Schwartz. Blues win the faceoff. And driven in by McCulloch. John Klingberg to the corner, broken up. Stastny now for Schwartz. And he tries to feed it in front. That's taken care of by Klingberg. And lobbed off the glass to center ice. Glove down by Schwartz. He's got 2 tonight. Now back for McCulloch. Kept it in, and a shot tipped by a star player wide, and then a hit by Oshie in the corner.
Good keeping, though, by Zbigniew McCulloch on that far blue line.
Here comes Nichushkin in for Dallas. For Goligoski. And now Sagan spins out high. Long shot from the point by Yoki Paka wide. And the Blues get it, and a high flipper to center by Oshie. Blues trying to make a change. And Yoki Paka drives it in wide from center. Robert Bertuzzo. And around for Bouwmeester. Off the boards and out, intended for Oshie. He missed it, and that's an icing call against the Blues. Well, the Blues have scored 4 tonight. With the McD app, you can buy one, get one free Big Mac or quarter pounder with cheese at McDonald's.
Oh, I'm getting hungry.
I'm hungry as well.
2 all-beef patties. Special sauce, lettuce, cheese.
Sesame seed bun. I'll take 2 right now. I'll take 2 goals and 2 Big Macs. How's that, Darren?
That sounds perfect.
And another icing call here against the Blues.
Now, don't blink in this game. Something's going to happen. Last change, Lindy Ruff will put on Spezza's line here. On the icing call, so Gotch has to stay on there. Oshie's still on the ice.
Blues 42% in the circle tonight. And again, they are the best face-off team in the league, so not often they get beat. And Laterra chips it off a stick out of play. And it'll bring the face-off to center.
He's not getting a minor penalty here, is he? No. That went off the body. That went off the body.
I thought it went off the stick of the Dallas player. I was looking right at it.
Yeah, you know what? Darren Gibbs, the veteran linesman, I think he had a good look at this, and same with Andy McKelman as well. And I believe they're going to rule this no minor penalty. When he swatted at this puck, it looked to me like it glanced off the stick blade or off the glove of the Dallas Stars player and out of play. And that would mean it's not a minor penalty, obviously, but we'll take a look here. There's the stick. Yeah, it rides up the stick right there. Yeah, Yoki Paka's stick is where it rides up of and out of play. On the angle of where the hands were, the follow-through of Laterra, I didn't think that would be able to get that puck up that quickly.
Darren, going back to the Moen goal and the penalty shot at 1949, including that goal and the first 3 goals of the second that came in 38 seconds, that would make it 4 goals in 49 seconds. According to Elias, that's the fastest 4 goals in NHL history.
Is that right?
That's what I was told.
4 goals in 49 seconds is the fastest in NHL history.
That's what I was...
Imagine the great Bill Mosienko scored 3 goals in 21 seconds on his own. But 4 goals in 49. I leave the math to you, partner. And stuff like that to Elias.
Elias never makes a mistake, so that's an NHL record tonight. Fiddler tips it in. Elliott around the boards for Gunnarsson. That's kept in on the point by Demers. Now Bertuzzo tries the other side and smashed to center ice by Reeves. Yoki Paka. Fiddler tips it in there. And Gunnarsson comes around, held up a little bit, and now a loose puck at the line. Chris Porter trying to pry it free from Nemeth.
Got the elbow of Nemeth too as he was trying to get by him. You could see that the head jolted back, but quickly went back in search of the puck.
Now the Blues at center. Pietrangelo in for Ryan Reeves. Throws it back to the goal. Letnin lost it back there. Now it's knocked down, but the Blues can't get it in front. And Sevier wanders in for Dallas. And a little flipper shot and a pad save by Elliott, and he smothers it, and now we have pushing in the corner.
Roussel in the middle of it again. Roussel followed through. The play was The play was stopped, the whistle had gone, and Roussel skates right into Alex Pietrangelo, makes sure he gets his stick up high, and then he makes sure he jams him. And look. Players know players. Players know the personalities. They know the tendencies. This all started only because of Antoine Roussel. And if there was going to be any kind of minor penalties in this play, it would be the result of number 21. Reason why everybody's there is because Roussel starts it by jamming the stick up high on Alex Pietrangelo.
Well, at the start of the period, Roussel and Reeves was an animated conversation.
You know, one guy's talking and one guy's saying, anytime you want to top the mitts, I'm willing to go.
Looks like matching minors. And it'll go 4-on-4.
So the whistle had gone, and there's Roussel. He just follows through. Just instead of skating away there, clearly blown down. But he's like just continues on and stirring the pot.
And then Steve Ott came in and put an end to that. And they'll sit for 2. Blues win the faceoff. Up front, Stastny and Schwartz. Schwartz sitting on 2 goals tonight. Now Pietrangelo kicks it in there. Gets some help there from Schwartz. Wide open is Paul Stastny. He works in a drive. That was blocked at the defense. Grabbed by the Blues again. Pietrangelo. Out high now for Shattenkirk. Trying to make a play in front off a stick. And that's to center ice.
Yeah, kind of ran out of real estate right there. Kind of painted himself a little bit into a corner. Not much room to make a play once he got over there.
Now it's Pietrangelo again for the Blues. Right through the goal crease. Taken by Schwartz. On the cycle for Pietrangelo. Still 4-on-4. Schwartz wide open. And that shot is blocked by Klingberg. Possession again by the Blues. Pietrangelo trying to get it in front. Broken up by the Stars. Benn and Seguin away. 2-on-1. Seguin in. And Elliott to save, and it bounced behind him, but he got it.
Oh, good reaction. Terrific awareness. Alert play. It looked like it was going to bounce over the goal line. The bench of the Blues telling the players, keep moving down below in the offensive zone. Gets a little stagnant. It ends up being a 2-on-1 break to the glove side, off the tip of the glove, and Elliott does a great job of battling back and finding that puck. This has been a battling kind of game for both these goaltenders, especially for Elliott.
Still 4-on-4 for 45 seconds. And the Blues trying to clear. We mentioned the NHL record, 4 goals tonight in a span of 49 seconds. The previous record was 53 seconds. Chicago at Toronto back in 83. Were you in that game, Tanger?
No.
You were a Blackhawk at that time. Now McCullough comes in. Right in front. They score! Laterra has tied the game! And it's 5-5.
Good calmness with the puck out of the corner. And as I said, don't blink. Even when this game was 5-3, when Roussel had scored, jamming that pad and the puck across the goal line, Schwartz scored a key goal at the end of the second period. The Blues didn't give up on it, kept their nose to the grindstone, and now for Ken Hitchcock and the Blues, it's a 5-5 hockey game. On the left side of your screen is where it's going to develop. McCulloch's got it here. He plays it across, and a good little strong redirect right there. Jay Bouwmeester, the defense.
Was it Bouwmeester?
Right there.
Yes, it was Bouwmeester.
Big Jay puts himself in the slot. He looks like Larry Robinson right there, of the great Montreal Canadiens.
So it was not Laterra. At least it looked like it was Bouwmeester's stick, his 3rd of the year.
I'd have to call him Big Bird. Big Bird Bo.
And it also may have gone off the defenseman. So it's either McCulloch, Bouwmeester, or Laterra's goal. How's that?
Demers, the defenseman, was the closest guy.
So it's 5-5.
And this comes on the heels of that 2-on-1. I mean, and the stop by Brian Elliott.
And now Berglund gets it in deep. And that's off a stick and out of play.
Well, we'll see from the overhead camera. That's Bouwmeester's stick in the middle there. And the puck, no. Off the left skate or the right skate of Laterra. So either the left skate of Demers or the right skate of Laterra. And you know, we know that Jay Bouwmeester is a rather subdued person. He doesn't get overly energetic, as we know, JK. So the one thing that signaled that he might not have scored it, he never did it. He never put his arms up. He just went to the player that he thought scored the goal, which to me, he went right over to Laterra. So Big Bird doesn't get it. Oh, that's going to stick.
As a late sports center anchor would say, he's as cool as the other side of the pillow. And it really applies very well to him.
Yes, he is.
We'll see who gets the goal. It's 5-5. Now Bertuzzo comes in for the Blues. Back of the goal to Backes. And he is hit by Fiddler. Ryan Reeves gets it free. Back to Bertuzzo. Now Gunnarsson shoots one. And a glove save. And a bit of an adventurous save there by Kari Lehtonen.
Strong shift there by Robert Bortuzzo. Lugging the puck up the left boards. Keeping it in play. And then eventually he ends up playing it back to the point position to Gunnarsson. Gunnarsson's one-timer, knuckleballer there, and Kari Lehtonen does a good job just of battling with this puck. Nemeth, the defenseman, stays between the goaltender and the forward trying to get in front, which was David Backes. Not an easy player to keep outside the box, but Nemeth did a really nice job allowing the goaltender to see that.
And on the face-off, Stastny goes ahead with it. Oshie trying to get there. And now Klingberg for Dallas. Checked a bit by Oshie, diving, keeps it in there, and now for Schwartz. What a play there by Oshie. And Bertuzzo in from the right point, can't get there in time to hold it in. And now it's center ice, Oshie. Jack Garbett comes in for Dallas. And now for Moen, right through the goal crease, tipped away by Elliott, and walked along by Stastny, now for Schwartz. Down the boards for Oshie, canceled by Goligoski. And now down deep, it's Cody Eakin for Goligoski. Up the boards to Moen. And he gets it by McCulloch.
Yeah, no icing there. McCulloch pinched in there trying to eliminate Moen from getting that puck.
As Ott spins off Yoki Pakashchuk. Lehtonen sets it up for Demers, and he fires it out to center ice. And then Sagan. He gets it deep. McCulloch takes the hit from Sagan. Nichushkin gets the puck for the Stars, and a shot. That's wide on the short side. And now Tyratty off the boards and back to center ice.
Ooh, fortunate there that Yoki Paka didn't stay inside that blue line. He was just bailing out at the same part that Tyratty was clanking it off the boards. What a hit there. Ryan Reeves finished his check there on Jamie Benn.
They're giving that goal to McCulloch.
To who?
McCulloch, his fourth. So it went off the Dallas
I guess
player.
it did go off Demers then.
So his fourth goal, second as a Blue. Now it's dumped into the corner. Ryan Reeves there. Back of the goal now for Gotch. Oshie and Bouwmeester get the assist on the goal. Here are the Stars to center. Spezza. And a save by Elliott. And he has it in his midsection. So McCulloch from Oshie and Bouwmeester. And we'll start over again. It's 5-5.
Very much. Here's a closer look at that puck going off the left skate or the toe of Demers and into the net. Laterra's skate was right there as well. Probably fumbled on that one. First I've got Bouwmeester score and then Laterra. And in fact, it's Vitek McCulloch's goal. I'm all over the map.
Now it is Yashkin. The Blues.
It's an interference
Yashkin is held up. Yeah, it looks like the Blues will get a power play. The Blues' highest scoring game this year was that 6-5 shootout loss in Vancouver way back on March 1st.
And down in that game, 5-2.
Exactly.
Before bouncing back and losing it eventually in the shootout. And there's the interference there by Daly. Daly just went over to his right. As Jaskin had his lane, I think if Daly stays where he's at, he's okay. He's in good shape right there. But he ends up moving over to his right.
And the Blues 0 for 2 tonight.
And both power plays have not looked very good. So just time to settle it down, get the formation in the offensive zone, and have that calmness to make a play.
6 different Blues have multi-point games tonight. Shattenkirk in his own line for Oshie. In a 5-5 game now for Shattenkirk again. Stars give him room. He dumps it in. Letnin blockers it out of play, and the Blues will take that offensive zone faceoff. Individual playoff tickets go on sale on April 9th, but you can guarantee you'll have a seat before the rush. Simply put a 10% deposit down on a 2015-16 season ticket package, and you'll get to purchase playoff tickets before they go on sale to the general public. Time is running out. Buy your tickets at stlouisblues.com or call 314-622-BLUE. Big power play here for the Blues. Backes steps in against Jamie Benn. Into the board. Stastny knocked out. Schwartz comes over and gets the puck free. Throws it to the far side to Oshie, and a good stick there to break it up by Cody Eakin.
Yeah, good read there by Cody Eakin. And keep in mind, this Dallas Stars club, they will be aggressive. They've got 9 shorthanded goals for.
Now the Blues into the zone. Backes plays it back to Shattenkirk. Walking the line. Can't get a shot. And now for Schwartz. Shattenkirk again. And a wrister by Shattenkirk blocked. And then powered back to the goal by Schwartz. Comes around, Stastny lets it go. And a race for Eakin against Shattenkirk. And a shot by Eakin on the short side and a save by Elliott.
It actually hopped over Stastny's stick. I had a pretty good look at it, but then when he looked up, he kind of shrugged his shoulders because he thought the right D was going to be there.
And the Stars steal it, but they play it back to center. Dallas has allowed 3 power play goals against in their last 2 games.
Well, the Blues, when they get set up again, have to jam it down low. The power play has to start lower, I believe, than higher because they're putting pressure on the points.
Sevier a shot, and that's blocked by Jaskin. And now 20 to go in Daly's minor.
They know the offense is generated from the point position, and that's why they pressured the points, and the Blues are a little reluctant to get it down low below the goal line to start things off.
And now it does go low. Here's Berglund back on the line, and Bouwmeester trying to hit Berglund. Laterra, across, block, and now Pietrangelo shoots, he scores! Unbelievable! Pietrangelo and the Blues take a 6-5 lead.
Nothing going on 3 power plays, and then on a broken play, again, starting down low, below the goal line, it ends up getting moved high. The first opportunity by Alex Pietrangelo, who has been red hot at both ends of the ice. He swings and turns after this play is broken up. There's the play by Pietrangelo. I thought he was just going to play that off to his left. Instead, he just rips it. He has Laterra over to the other side, but he fires it. No way that the goaltender, Kari Letnin, can find this puck. What a game tonight here in the Big D.
That was a 5-on-5 goal, his first in 15, 7th of the year. And it's 6-5 St. Louis. Here's Goligoski. Up the middle, tipped in by Sagan. And now McCulloch shoots it around the boards. And back to center ice. Lindy Ruff and Ken Hitchcock, great friends. Defensive-minded coaches, you know, they might both say at this point, let's go have a Bud Light and you guys settle on the ice. Because it's not certainly the kind of game that we expected tonight.
Well, and, you know, think of that timeout that we talked about that Lindy Ruff had. But then Ken Hitchcock decided on a timeout late in the second period. He ends up getting a goal from Schwartz to make it 5-4.
Now Jori Laterra back of the goal. Tied up in knots there by Nemeth.
Well, you have to make sure you got that third man in a good position.
Well, Pietrangelo fanned on the pass.
Yeah, it was rolling.
Hemsky in for Dallas. Now for Eaves. Spezza follows up. circles the wagons. And then back to Daly. He'll play one back to the corner. Shattenkirk on it for the Blues. And up to Ratty. And then flown high by Shattenkirk to the Dallas line. Blues making a change here. And now Nemeth rolls off a check. Shoots it deep. Puck picked up now by Spezza. And a shot. Hit a leg in front. And the Blues with it. And Ratty off the boards. Schwartz in the area. And Nemeth, a great job to defend him.
A good strong stick there by Ratty to make sure that puck goes out, though. Has to go out in that position.
Here comes Garbutt back to center ice. And he is slowed up by McCulloch. And then Garbutt again. With 8:05 to play. Roussel to the corner. To the line. And a shot wide there by Demers. And Yoki Paka can't hold it in. Nearly had it picked off by Stastny. Now Oshie does get it. He comes in. Wrist shot up high off the shoulder of Lettinen and out of play. And Oshie got a lot on that wrist shot. Pietrangelo has given the Blues a 6-5 lead here in the third.
We're heading into the final frame in a wacky game in Dallas. Zbynek McCulloch, who's been a real nice addition from Doug Armstrong and his pro scouting staff at the deadline. And McCulloch bounces this one off the skate of Demers into the net, and then a little spinorama play there by Alex Pietrangelo. The strength, certainly, of the Blues has been team defense. Dallas had 4 unanswered goals after the timeout in the second period. The Blues countered with 3 unanswered goals since the timeout late in the second period. Good use of timeout.
And off the face-off, the Stars control it.
And Enroth's in the twine.
Yes, the Stars have changed goalies here. Now it's Jonas Enroth for the second straight game on in relief of Kari Lettinen. And now back on the line. Goligoski can't hold it in. And here is Klingberg, hounded by Yashkin. Here, and it's not often you'll see a goalie get yanked with 7 and change left in a game. And I know Lettinen has not played well, but that's awful late for a backup to come in the game.
Yes, it is.
Pietrangelo's goal, by the way, was unassisted, giving the Blues a 6-5 lead. Well, Jamie Benn gets it by Gunnarsson and then held up a little bit. And a power play for Dallas.
Schwartz is going to go off for this minor penalty.
St. Louis penalty, 17, 2 minutes, looking.
See, Enroth is in the net. We had mentioned it earlier in the game, and Kari Lettinen not real pleased with being out of the game here this late, and there's the little hook there around the elbow of Jamie Benn, knocking him off balance. Got to get those sticks on the ice.
And Dallas on the power play. 0 for 3 tonight. As Jason Spezza has it on the half wall, and a shot right on goal, and a save by Elliott. We mentioned that Dallas backup goalies have won 3 games. They're in all 3 wins by the backups in relief. The last backup to win a game as a starter was Tim Thomas last year. That was the night after Rich Peverley collapsed on the Dallas bench. It was in St. Louis.
Yes, it was. But you're right, it's a tough spot to be in for the backup goaltender. That's a long time to be on the bench and cold.
Stars get it in front. Klingberg wide open. A shot blocked by Oshie. And now Seguin has it. Seguin a shot. Save, rebound. It's close. Elliott kicked it out. And now Klingberg with it. Spezza. Seguin. Dusted off. Klingberg a shot. Blocked again by Oshie.
Yeah, Stastny too
in front. Wide open. Open to Spezza. And that went through his legs. Great pressure by Dallas. And a shot by Spezza blocked. Pinballs around. Stays in the zone. Klingberg kept it in. Seguin again. Looks to attack. Spezza with it. And now Klingberg in front, tipped, and that goes high off the stick of Eaves. To the line again. A minute to go in the power play. Great pressure by Dallas. Here's Seguin to Klingberg. Comes in. And where is it? It's in the glove of Brian Elliott.
Oh, good save. Elliott really tracked that well through traffic. A couple of loose hot potatoes in front before that. But Elliott makes sure of this one here. His group in front are exhausted. Klingberg with the shot. Spezza is there on top. This is the prior play. Shot on the doorstep. Spezza. And he knows he can't fire it in on the forehand, so he plays it on the backhand. And then this one here, Oshie goes down sprawling. Just after that, Paul Stastny does a really good job of getting in the shooting lane and blocking a shot as well.
And 51 to go in the power play. Under 6 to go in regulation. Backus wins the faceoff. Tipped away by Laterra. Now a race for it. Backus gets there ahead of Daly. And then they get back, and Goligoski knocked it away from the stick of the Blues captain. And now the Stars reloading in their own zone. Goligoski. Hemsky. Chips it by Laterra. Back of the goal. Handled by McCulloch, and he sails it high over everybody's head.
That's a savvy veteran play there. Everybody thought he was going to fire it around the boards. They were flooding that area of the ice. He stops on a dime and rifles it down the length of the ice.
And now the Stars to center ice. 15 to go in Schwartz's minor. Good stick there by Bouwmeester to break it up. And the play is offside.
5:07 here left to go. Good penalty kill, which has been red hot for the St. Louis Blues.
As they have killed 34 of 37 in the last 12 games. On the face-off, Gotch gets it. Fired down by Pietrangelo. His goal unassisted on the Plaza Tire Service scoring summary has given the Blues a 6-5 lead. Here's Demers in. Schwartz is back. Play continues. Now the Blues to center. Here's Schwartz and Stastny. And getting back on the back check is Demers. Schwartz trying to kick it free from the star player. And now Stastny in there as well, trying to sniff it out. And the scrum continues.
And you know that as soon as Dallas, if they get possession, that both Ben and Seguin, they'll be gone.
Back on the line, Shattenkirk wide open now for Pietrangelo. Return feed, Shattenkirk. Again, Pietrangelo. And a shot and a save by Enrock. And he has it with 4:11 to play. More from Dallas after this.
Well, Patrick Berglund is in the driver's seat, and why wouldn't he be in a beautiful Kia? He is red hot right now, playing with a boatload of confidence. Good hands there on that salty little redirection. Goalie's got no chance. Another one here, that's hand-eye coordination. Big man likes golf. Well, he's got a 60-degree wedge in his hand around the greens in this game tonight. And he's been a main part of it as well. And also another change that took place late in the second was putting Shattenkirk and Pietrangelo together. And McCulloch and Bouwmeester, that change has worked as well.
Now the Stars, Garbutt in his own zone with 4 minutes left here in the third period. Garbutt gets it in deep.
Both D went to the puck carrier.
And at the line, a shot blocked. Demers let it go. And Dmitry Yashkin wanders the other way.
Yeah, that last shot, I think it hit the back of the leg of Patrick Berglund there as he slowly goes off.
Now Yashkin to the line. That was intercepted by Roussel. Off the boards for Garbutt. And he pulls up to make a play. He does to Goligoski. Now down low. And then grabbed by Cody Eakin. To Goligoski. Fires it off a leg wide. And Dmitry Yashkin. Fans on it. Cleared at the line, not out again. And now Goligoski. That's blocked by Oshie, who's blocked a ton tonight. And he can't move it out. Stars swarm the puck.
I think Oshie's stick was broken, that's why.
And a good stick there by Laterra to tip it to the corner. Oshie's stick is broken. He goes off, gets a new one. And now Laterra off the glass. And he didn't want to shoot it that hard because that's an icing call.
And the referee's going to pull TJ Oshie back on the ice, so he didn't get off the ice in time. He broke his stick on the far side. He came back to the bench. He grabbed Alex Pietrangelo's stick, and then he gave it back to Pietrangelo, who's on the bench, and he tried to hop off, and then the icing took place. And there he is on the far side. You see, he tries to flip it, and that's a broken twig, and then he holds on for a second, but he realizes that it snapped in half right at the handle, it seemed like, where that was broken. But he has to stay on there. He's taking his time. Good veteran move, so he gets that wind back a little bit. He was out of gas.
And again, the Blues have used their timeout. And now Nemeth.
Oh, he's got a problem with the protector on the skate.
Yeah, his
plastic.
his skate guard.
Yeah, so it had Velcro probably had come off there, so he had to get that off his skate.
That gives the Blues another 15 seconds to get their breath. 3 minutes left. Laterra against Jamie Benn. What a game tonight in Dallas.
Great entertainment.
Ben gets it. Seguin, a shot on goal and a save by Elliott. Tip back of the goal by Daly. And now McCulloch.
Oh, good stick.
Gets it up the boards. Laterra there. Nice pass, and then finally thrown the other way by Yashkin.
Does that have enough?
And it does go down the ice. Another icing call.
Just has enough to go all the way. Brian Elliott does a nice job of keeping this puck off to the side after this shot took place right off the faceoff. You see the way he directs it over to the corner, out of harm's way. No rebound there. Good control.
And the Blues trying to make some late changes after the icing. And of course you can't do that when you ice the puck. And Oshie and Yashkin must stay on the ice.
Blues are doing a good job of buying time here on this icing call.
Now Backes against Jamie Benn. Enroth is still in goal. Might be pulled at any time. Blues again clear it for another icing. I think Yashkin and Oshie have been on the ice for 3 minutes or so. It just seems like it's been 3 minutes. And how many icings in a row? 4?
Yep.
Backes again. Gets it. And it was dropped unfairly.
Yeah, I don't think the puck hit the ice surface first.
And they might check the clock. 2:35 left. And now they're going to pull Enroth. 6 attackers here.
Wow. I mean, at this point, only a 1-goal difference face off in the offensive zone.
And Backes kicks it back. And Yashkin can't clear it. Klingberg at the line. He holds it in. And now Bouwmeester in the corner. 6 attackers here for Dallas. In the slot, Seguin. Can't get around Oshie. Goligoski a shot. And a save by Elliott. Now Seguin again. Goligoski is wide open. So is Klingberg. He gets it. Goligoski a pass.
He fanned on it.
He fanned on it.
Yep.
David Backes to center. Has an empty net. And now fires it at the empty net. It's blocked with a stick of Goligoski. And the Blues can finally get a change. Under 2 to go. Lob to head Gunnarsson. Off his midsection. Can't clear it out. Good read by Pietrangelo. And he was checked. And now Jamie Benn. Knocked away by Schwartz.
What a play by Schwartz.
And it's off a stick at the Blues bench, and we get a whistle.
That's just good, quick hands by Schwartz along the boards. And you don't have to be the biggest competitor in the National Hockey League to make good plays in board battles. And here he's looking over his shoulder. He knows that the defenseman's going to pinch in with the stick, gets it by Klingberg, but then it gets swatted back. It rolls on top of the boards right at the Blues bench and then just dribbles into the Blues bench.
Missouri Lottery Blues Live is next with 1:41 left. Enroth remains off. Empty net. Stars win the faceoff. Daly sends it deep. Chopped that by Pietrangelo. Comes near the goal. And now Eves there. Fires it back to the near side. Oshie can't get it. And a drive by Yoki Paka. Hit a body in front. Schwartz, and he chops the puck to center ice. And Schwartz with a shot, and that was blocked by Daly. And both clubs make changes with 75 to go in the third period. And now Daly drops it off. And Yoki Paka. Long stretch pass. At the line, Laterra blocked it. Here's Laterra. Fans on it. Then Backes a shot. And that was tipped wide again. Here comes Klingberg the other way. Leaves it for Seguin. And he winds it around the end boards. Chopped that by McCulloch. And it comes to center ice.
Great angling of the stick there by McCulloch to get that off the glass and out of play. And McCulloch and Benn still going at it to the far side.
35 left here. Toe drag at the line. The play is offside.
Pretty crafty move there by the young defenseman Klingberg as he comes off an overtime game-winning goal at Vancouver. He's got 3 game-winning goals, and he's got some tremendous calmness when the pressure is at its highest. He's going to be an outstanding defenseman for a long period of time, and a guy that the Blues are going to have to watch here in the waning 34 seconds.
And the face-off at the line, taken by the Stars' Klingberg.
Spezza lost his glove on the face-off dot.
Now Schwartz steals it, and he's got an empty net, and Schwartz the hat trick. And the St. Louis Blues, what a comeback tonight, as Schwartz gets his 3rd.
Well, this has been one heck of a battle. One of those gut check style of games with the ebb and flow of the National Hockey League. In what has been one of the lowest scoring seasons, this had plenty of drama, plenty of chances, some wacky bounces, and I think Ken Hitchcock's got a grin on his face. These are one of those games where you just got to love the game of hockey. They're not all going to be these perfect games that you go to the video clips and you pinpoint every perfect sequence out there. Sometimes you just got to battle through it and you got to grunt your way. Jaden Schwartz, he got things started too. When you think of that goal that made it 5-4 at the end of the second period, that gave the Blues life going back into the room.
And he gets his 2nd hat trick this year. And the Blues with a 7-5 lead. And they are going to tie Nashville in points with 103 in a wild finish, 7-5 the final.
And give Brian Elliott some credit as well. This is one of those games where he started out so brilliantly in that first period. He was under siege for the first 10 minutes. And then the penalty shot at 1949, Moen scores, 1-1 game. The second period was all over the map. But our co-Bud Light players of the game, certainly Jaden Schwartz with his 3 goals, 9 shot attempts in this game. And Patrick Berglund, he continues his outstanding play, John Kelly.
Schwartz the hat trick. The Blues have a league-leading 7 hat tricks. Schwartz is 2nd this year. What a finish, 7-5 final.